Dinner for shoes, please.
Hello and welcome to Dinner for Shoes. This, all right, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get through the sentence without like changing the subject, and the subject wasn't even started. But I feel like every time I say hello and welcome to Dinner for Shoes, it sounds like a question at the end. I'm like, hello and welcome to Dinner for Shoes, maybe, if I decide to show up, but like I'm here, so let's do it. Um, so anyway, today we are talking about Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day can be different for so many people, and it's definitely been different for me throughout the years. I feel like I have never really celebrated very romantically. To be honest, I think also my favorite ever Valentine's days in history were the ones that I like spent with myself, eating a good meal, whatever that meal was, and like petting my cats. I don't think that I've had like a super romantic Valentine's Day ever that I can remember. So I think it's like just as important on Valentine's Day to show ourselves self-love and to show up for ourselves. And I mean, I think that if you do want to celebrate Valentine's Day and you want to go out, let's say you have a significant other or you don't, but you want to try to make it romantic and you want to step out and you want to wear an outfit that shows to the world like I am celebrating Valentine's Day, that can also look different for a lot of different people. And different colors mean different things. Different silhouettes present a different person to the world, right? So that's what's so fun about fashion, which we've explored in other episodes. But I was lucky enough to have Shakaila Forbes-Bell on this podcast today to talk about fashion psychology, why we do what we do, why we wear what we wear, what it all means, what the traditional Valentine's Day colors mean, right? Pinks, reds, blacks, if they command attention, what they say when you walk in the room. So we're going to get into that. And we also ordered food. It is here today. It is on time. There were some snafus in the morning. I was like on the Peloton bike and I kept I kept being called by Dream Vista Café. And I guess because of it was basically issues on Grubhub's side, but they didn't have everything that I ordered. So I had to kind of change my order around. Totally fine. I appreciate a place that's honest, right? But as I was like reordering, then the Grubhub people were showing up at the cafe to get the orders. And she was like, no, like she's canceling the order. She's reordering. And they were like, no, there's an order here. And she was like, no, there's no order here. So, I mean, I wouldn't exactly call that romantic, but everyone was communicating. Everyone was communicating. And I was sweating on my Peloton bike. Anyway, I'm really excited to try Dream Vista Cafe. I'm going to talk about my outfit first, then we'll get into Dream Vista, and I'll explain why I chose Dream Vista Cafe, and it's not just because it rhymes with Valentine's Day, but it is a little bit because it rhymes with Valentine's Day, just a little bit. I love rhymes. I even like slant rhymes. I am like a queen. Anytime someone's like, oh, like what's a good title for something? I always try to make it rhyme or have alliteration. And it's like, Sarah, those are not the only two ways that like a title sounds good. But in my ears, it's just like it has to rhyme or it has to be alliteration. One or the other. It's like, relax. There are other ways to title things. As you'll see from my set, I kept my Lem Lem rug. I am obsessed with it. This is never going away. Oh, there's a piece of kale here from dinner the other night. My boyfriend always says, like, I'm really messy, and this is proof that he's correct. Now, that was romantic, if I do say so myself. All right, we'll put this piece of kale on my plate so I don't forget to clean it up. Anyway, have the Lem Lem rug, have my classic Kate Spade plates, which I love. I do have my oat milk latte from Dream Vista over here because I wanted to try it, but I wanted to open it and try it in front of you for a specific reason, which we'll get to. And let's talk about the outfit behind the shoes and the shoes. I am into black, I guess, recently, right? Like, what? I just can't stop wearing it. So I don't know why, but I am really into the whole tights thing, and I feel like a tights look needs to be like bedazzled a little bit. So I love Simon Miller. I have a Simon Miller handbag that I don't wear enough. It's you know what? I'll make a mental note to wear it soon to show it to everyone, but it's brown and it's got like a little pop of yellow on it and white, and I really like it. But Simon Miller, is a women-founded brand, and I just love it. So I have two pieces by Simon Miller that I'm wearing today. This sequin palette. I think palette is how you pronounce it. I'm actually going to ask Alexa, how do you pronounce palette sequin?
I pronounce that palette, but I'm always working on how I say things, and I might not have it right.
I'm always working on how I say things too, Alexa. Should we be best friends? She does not want to be best friends with me. That was not romantic. But she's always working on how she pronounces things, is what she said if you didn't hear her. And she says it's palette sequins. So that means basically, if you didn't know, a palette sequin, girls, a palette sequin is different than like a regular sequin because these are big, shiny discs of sequins, right? That's an embellishment that I love. Like, I feel like Miu Miu has used it on some of their clothes. Everyone knows I'm obsessed with Miu Miu. So palette sequins, I'm here for you. This Simon Miller mini skirt has that. I'm wearing it over sheer text tights. I really want to get like more sheer with my tights, and I need to order a few more pairs, but I am loving the whole sheer tights look. And then this Simon Miller bag, which is just so freaking cool. I like that you could carry it as a clutch if you want. You could take the chain off, or you could just carry it as a crossbody bag, which is how I'm carrying it with this look. But I like how it was patent leather, and I wanted to kind of let the reflection of the palette sequins kind of accent that shiny black with my shoes as well. My shoes are from Zara, and they have multiple straps. I'm really loving a sling back like this right now. Are you done? I'm really loving a sling back like this right now, and I like too that there's a little bit more support with the three straps here, right? So I thought this was a really cool shape. All right, sisters, love, Valentine's Day, hearts all around. So this is a very comfortable shoe too. I have been wearing it around the apartment, much to my downstairs neighbor's dismay. I've been told that I'm loud with my heels, but only with my heels. Definitely not loud other times. All right. But so this is the shoe of choice, and I love it. And I also love how it looks on my Kate Spade plate. We have a really good shot of Kit kind of like next to the sling back, right by the Kate Spade plate. So we love that. And now there's Kale on the Kate Spade plate from 2 nights ago as well. I am wearing on top this silk marble top. It comes as part of a set. I am only wearing the top, the button down. What else am I wearing? I'm wearing, so the sheer text, I just got my nails done for Valentine's Day. This pink, which is kind of Pepto-Bismol pink, but also kind of like millennial pink, which I'm forecasting that millennial pink is coming back. We're done with Barbie pink that had its moment. It crashed and burned. And now we're having this like blush millennial toned pink. And so I painted my nails this color, and when I was getting them done, my manicurist was like, oh, this really matches with your skin tone. And I was like, it does, it's so pretty. And then like I went home and I was just like, this like doesn't really match with my skin tone. You know, when you like get your nails painted, but I'm stuck with them for a month. And I thought Valentine's Day, you know, and it's fashion week. So I am gonna like, you know, I thought like pink is kind of like a little bit muted, so it'll go with a lot of different outfits. So who knows? Yeah. And okay, so then really important. During the interview with Shakaila, which you're going to see soon, I was wearing a necklace to match this gentlewoman bracelet. It's by Emily. Emily is actually designed by a designer named Emily, hence the Emily. But I love that this friendship bracelet, first of all, I was sure I wanted to get the two-tone just because I feel like it is a friendship bracelet, and it's kind of supposed to be like a women supporting women friendship bracelet, which I think is so great and so unique. And I wanted to make sure to get 2 different tones just because I feel like people with differences should come together and support each other and celebrate their differences. And I think that's kind of like always my mentality going into any project, into any like meeting a new person. And so I just feel like this bracelet really represents who I am and what I believe in. And I felt like wearing it on Valentine's Day because I do think like having a Galentine's Day or having like just being with another woman who makes you feel comfortable on Valentine's Day, even if they're not your significant other, is such a great way to practice self-love. Like Valentine's Day should be you doing whatever it is that makes you happy. That's the most important thing here. Of course, life isn't perfect. Like I'm sure that there were times where I wasn't happy because I wanted my Valentine's Day to be more romantic and it wasn't. And that's disappointing. But if we kind of like take a step back and think about the things we're grateful for on Valentine's Day, that's a good way to like practice self-love and just live in the moment a little bit more. I mean, I know it's easier said than done, but hey, put on a really comfortable loungewear look, and that's what we're going to talk about. So this may be my Valentine's Day outfit of 2024, but when we talked to Shakaila Forbes-Bell, she talked to us about how all different tones and silhouettes and types of fashion can connote different things on Valentine's Day, can help you to convey who you are in a different way. And what I did was, before I went into my interview with Shakaila, I rounded up some of my favorite just like influencers and people who I follow on Instagram. And I was kind of like, I probably had half of my weed gummy and I was like laying in bed and I was just like, let me scroll back to Valentine's Day of last year and see what they wore. And I also saw what I wore last year on Valentine's Day. I didn't even remember. Valentine's Day usually for me is like a whirlwind of a time period because it's fashion week. So I'm normally like, I want to style a really stylish outfit, but then I also kind of want to like, do something kitschy that's like an ode to Valentine's Day in a way on that day. So I wore this like rose bustier top. Anyway, though, we did talk about that outfit and we talked about all of the other outfits that I rounded up for Shakaila to like kind of analyze. Shakaila talks about her background in fashion psychology and how she, came to practice this career. And I think it's actually really interesting because I went to a school called Gallatin for college. Well, that's within NYU, but basically like, I can't say that without like thinking about like all those like reels that you see where it's like someone's like, oh, like I went to Stanford, like I went to MIT, and it's like okay. Let me tell you something. I went to NYU, but here is what like the background of that is. I got an early decision. My grandpa went there. I just made it in and I got into the liberal studies program, which is basically like, you're not really smart enough to be here, but you have to show us that you're going to practice hard. So when I say I went to NYU, like it doesn't mean I'm so smart. Like I actually did do really well in college, but it's because I didn't have a social life. I didn't go out and all I did was work and intern. But that's what, if you put a lot of effort into it, that's what you're going to get. College is actually pretty easy. Anyway, I ended up transferring into Gallatin, which is a school where you kind of create your own concentration. I majored in what I called fashion journalism and I minored in creative writing, which was in a different school. But my major, basically, at the end of your time at NYU in Gallatin, you have to give a colloquium, which is basically kind of like a thesis paper, but you talk about it and you bring in all these different books and ideas and you merge them together to kind of like prove your point of what you learned and what you studied while you were in college. I focused, since my major was fashion journalism, on like the psychology of our clothing and how we form memories in our clothes. And I actually referenced a few of the books on this table right here. And just about the sentiment behind clothing and fashion is what I really explored. Now, Shakaila kind of took that idea and made it into her career. So I admire the shit out of her. And she and I had a discussion about everything that she does. You'll find out a little bit more about it. I'm going to let her speak to it right now. And she's going to explain what all the different colors basically mean on Valentine's Day. She did say that black is very much like, I want you to listen up and hear what I have to say. It commands room. It connotes power. And she talks about like reds and pinks as well. But then there were some other looks, surprise looks that I threw in there that you wouldn't think of a typical Valentine's Day outfit as being. And she talked about what that could present, what that means. And I found it all to be so interesting. I love that she is willing to offer her opinion based on her research, right? And based on all the studies that she's like learned from and incorporated into her work and into her, just like essentially just like her what's the word, like her perspective. That doesn't make sense. I mean, not everyone has like one specific perspective or phrase that they go by, or like, you know, we all have a thing. We all have our shtick, not our shtick. Let's call it a shtick because it's Valentine's Day. Right. Maybe my producer should cut that, maybe not. I'm gonna leave that up to her discretion. I'll see if it makes it in. All right, but so we all have like our shtick, right? So it's Valentine's Day, Megan, just leave it in. So anyway, we all have our shtick, and hers is like, obviously, that while she's done all this research and she's learned so much, it is really up to interpretation at the end of the day. And each person obviously has a different personality, different like background, different life experiences. So what they wear, like it may not mean the exact same thing for everyone. So if I'm wearing a black outfit that looks like this, it could mean something a little bit different than if Trish was wearing it. Right, sweetie? Get in. I just want you to be, are you in? You look so good in that helmet. This is how we communicate. Okay. I just wanted to give you that treat for Valentine's Day. So anyway, we are going to head on over so you can see my conversation with Shakaila. Hopefully you will get some ideas for what to wear for Valentine's Day based on the looks that I showed. I mean, of course, yes, trends come into play. You might want to wear something more trendy this year, but I do think that I want you to hear what I have to say by me wearing black today. I chose this outfit. I was like, I'm going to wear this for my podcast filming. And at the end of the day, I do want you to fucking listen. Even when I say stupid shit. Like shtick. But you go ahead and check out our interview.
So I'm Shakaila Forbes-Bell. I am a fashion, beauty, and consumer psychologist. I started this journey through my education. I did my undergraduate and my MA in psychology. During my MA, I focused heavily on fashion. It was the first MA ever run in psychology for fashion professionals, and we were the first cohort. So it was very intense, a new experience. Yeah. But I realized during my last year of my undergraduate that I loved the sociological kind of approach to fashion and style. I loved social psychology, and that was when Black Lives Matter movement was really picking up steam after the murder of Trayvon Martin. So this is, I think this is back in 2012, and I remember they had the Million Hoodie March because a lot of the kind of agitators, they were saying that because Trayvon was wearing a hoodie and these young black boys need to stop dressing like this. And at the same time, you had all these tech bros and these Mark Zuckerberg types wearing hoodies and being seen as so cool. Yeah. And so I wanted to investigate the intersection between race, clothing, and first impressions. And I loved that research. I realized there was so much more to clothing. It's not just about throwing it on every day or looking cool. It can be used to make a statement. It can be used to form judgments about people. It can be political. It can be a way to express your identity. It can challenge or reveal certain emotions. It can bring you closer to people. There's just so many nuances to clothes and fashion style, and that's what I wanted to explore. I kept exploring it. I explored my way into a book deal. My book, Big Dress Energy, came out in 2022. And since then, I've been doing a lot of TV media, working with different brands, getting people to really think about what they're consuming, why they're buying the things they're buying, why they're wearing the things that they're wearing, so that they can be empowered with research and knowledge and just dress their best authentic self.
That's so inspiring. You literally took it all the way and made a career out of it, wrote a book about it. I mean, that's crazy. So ever since the book came out, like, do you feel like you've kind of taken your, I guess, like thesis of the book and the whole summary of the book and kind of put that into your work? Like when you're talking, when you're doing media, how do you take basically that and extend it into like your whole, I don't know, just like what you do?
Yeah, it's actually been pretty easy to do that with this final version of the book. It would have been very hard if I was basing on the first draft of the book, which was super boring. It read like a textbook. It was so like, I'm a psychologist. I'm like, this is science. And you know, from like academia, you're not taught to give an opinion. Your opinion counts for nothing. You are just basing it other people's papers that are published and peer reviewed. So that was really challenging for me. But when I was drafting the final version of Big Just Energy, I put a lot of myself into it.
Okay.
So it's very much you're reading and you can get to know me. It's personal stories. It's my opinion. It's my personal slant. It's what I've taken and interpreted from the research and how I can apply it to every day. So I think having that level of myself kind of in the book has made it easy for me to just take all of the research and use it in media and use it in TV and use it with brands in different ways. And there's always new research coming out that it's difficult because people don't have access to it or they can't digest it, but there's constantly amazing researchers, scientists creating these papers. And my job, I say, I'm almost like a translator. I just put it in language that people can understand and they can derive from it, get them to think about what they're doing. So I think in that way, it's been relatively easy. Like I found my voice through the process of getting it wrong and then finally finding the perfect fit.
Totally. And I agree. Like, I find that these ideas become so much more relatable when we talk about ourselves and like we go within, we kind of like dive within. So I think that makes complete sense. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Valentine's Day. From a psychological perspective and what you've learned throughout your career so far, how do you approach the idea of Valentine's Day or wearing these traditional pinks and reds? What do you like, how in fashion, how do you think it all relates? Do you think that it's kind of like psychologically a benefit to us or it can be negative?
So I'm all red, it's just enough for you for this podcast. So I think the first most obvious relationship we have when it comes to colors and Valentine's Day is through color psychology. And we know the colors for Valentine's Day is going to be the reds and the pinks, right? And that's because of many different things. So I think from a historical perspective, red and pink have always been associated with love, with like fire, with passion, and like the language that we use with like red hot and like, those kind of connotations that we have with these colors through different stories or through different media. We see like a seductive woman, she's wearing like red lips, like even like Betty Boop, she's wearing this like red outfit. Like we've always had it in the media that red is synonymous with passion, sex, lust, and love. So through those connotations, when we wear it, we remember these things. Could be unconsciously, but we embody them because we have all of these preconceived notions about what red means. So that's why when you go on a date, a lot of people, research has found actually that you're more likely to be sexually attracted to the person if they are wearing something red, if they're wearing red lipstick, if they're wearing a red accessory. There was one study that found that people walked faster to an interview about dating simply when the interviewer had a red accessory versus when they didn't. They would know when they didn't. So we associate red with that passion, so it gets us kind of aroused. But on another sense, so we think, if you think about colours on the wavelength spectrum, right? So we have the reds, the oranges, and the yellows. Those are long wavelength colours compared to the blues, the greens, and the purples. They are short wavelength colours. Long wavelength colour, they have a physiological response to the body. They make our heart rate go up. They make us more alert. They increase our blood pressure. They make us more aroused in general. So obviously, in a dating context, that is going to be something that is going to have an effect on your reaction to your partner and the way you relate to them. You're going to feel more ready to be in this kind of mood for seductive things to happen. So I think the symbolism of red clothing, red lipstick, all of that around Valentine's Day, it just makes perfect sense.
Yeah, for sure. So I sent you over a few looks and I said, obviously you can pick whichever ones you want to talk about, but I tried to make them as diverse as possible because everyone celebrates Valentine's Day differently. And that's one thing that I want to talk about on this podcast episode in general is I think my favorite Valentine's Days have been the Valentine's Days I've spent with myself. So of course, one of the possible Valentine's Day outfits can be loungewear at home. But if you want to go through a few of the ones you picked and talk about what you think they present based on what you see. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the one of me. This was last Valentine's Day during Fashion Week. So definitely tried to get like the Valentine's Day play with the whole rose bustier top.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love that. I think it's quite sensual, isn't it? And I think the feminine edge with the rose top, I think that's something people like to lean into.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that, we don't necessarily want to just say like pink is feminine, but there is a connotations of pink with being like quite playful. Of course, we can't avoid the way that pink has been marketed to us for many years of being like a kind of girly color. And even though we want to be quite universal and quite inclusive, we still have those like unconscious associations of pink with femininity. So I definitely see why at this time we'd want to bring that out in the style.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great interpretation of that. And yeah, I think it's like sensual too because of the silk. So this one, for example, this was on Valentine's Day and it was such a cozy at home look. And it's kind of bringing Valentine's Day more into the family, like room,
Yeah.
So what's that interpretation?
Well, I think there are different ways that we can think about love, of course, and like Valentine's Day, it's not just about romantic love, we celebrate like there's all these different types of love. I was looking up actually, there's Greek interpretations of love, but I know familial love is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
And that's something that we can celebrate during Valentine's Day as well. And I think the best way to spend time with people that you love is through being in an outfit that brings you a source of comfort. When people feel comfortable, it helps their cognitive performance. It allows them to think better, to be more present. When you're wearing something that's uncomfortable, you're distracted. It makes you, it gives you that cognitive overload. So you're not maybe being yourself. You may be a bit irritable. So when you want to spend time with the family and with your loved ones, you want to bring your best self. So it makes sense that you choose something that is super comfy and just makes you feel great.
Totally. I love the idea of presence, like you said, with something comfortable. That makes so much sense. Okay, this, for example, is a look that I kind of loved because it's really explicit in like the Valentine's Day call outs, right? So someone who's wearing hearts all over and like really playful prints, what does that kind of suggest?
It's almost a bit like playing dress up, right? Kind of being a bit childlike, not taking fashion too seriously. And I think when we use clothes as a way to almost play, I think it can be quite freeing. And I think it allows us to maybe go back to a time in our lives when we were younger and we didn't have as many responsibilities. And it's almost a way of expressing self-love, taking you back to a more childlike, happy part of your life. And that's something to celebrate during Valentine's Day as well.
Totally. I love that. That's great. Okay, I'm going to try to be as different as possible. So this one, for example, Josie Francis is really big into thrifting. I worked with her on another story, but I love it. So this was Valentine's Day themed almost for her, and it's got the tutu, but it still is like really, that's her look. Like her look is very like mix and match, kind of grunge. So what do you think about that tutu edition?
Yeah, I think when we, as viewers, when we see people wearing things that are like super outlandish and like non-conforming, we find it generally to be quite attractive. So that is almost another take on like love and lust and allure as well. We like people who don't conform. We like people who kind of go against the grain. And it's definitely a showstopper, something that will make you like stop and pay attention. And like, I love clothes that do that because they're almost like a conversation starter. It's a conversation starting piece. And then in that way, we can start to think about clothes as helping us to build and solidify relationships.
Right. So someone who's wearing a conversation starting piece like that, do you think that that says or like puts out to the world that they're more outgoing, they're willing to talk about what they're wearing?
I think that's the assumption that people would make. From my experience, actually, and speaking to other people, I think that people who wear conversation starter pieces, they can be quite shy and reserved, and they use their clothes as a tool in that way to help them overcome that and to draw people towards them and allow them to speak to them. So I want to like clarify, especially with with fashion psychology, it's so nuanced, right? With the psychology in general, there's this concept of individual differences where, one thing on one person could mean something for a different person. There's so many layers and meanings to that. But typically the judgments that we make, they can be quite universal, but it's important to always like dig deeper and answer meaningful questions, because one person's interpretation of an outfit could be completely different to someone else's.
Yes, that makes so much sense. Okay, I love that. And I love that interpretation. I have these two looks here. This one, I'm just going to like flash it because I feel like it kind of goes. So that's sheer and like the bra is visible through it and kind of like skin showing. And then this one, which is kind of similar in that way. And it's got like this like really great like sex appeal thing going on, but then it's also a little playful.
Yeah, so I think the best, interpretation from a psychological perspective based on research would be looking at the color black. So we often associate black with power and with dominance. People are tended to like listen to other people more when they're wearing black. They're more engaged. I see people who are wearing black as being, very understanding and deliberate and almost like a leader. And that projects power and that projects strength. And we often embody these interpretations when we are wearing these clothes. So in a kind of romantic context or in the context of Valentine's Day, I think it can be quite powerful to assert yourself and like who you are and have people notice and have people respect that as well. You don't want to just be almost admired for admirer's sake. To like look at you on a deeper level and listen to what you're saying, and that's what black commands authority.
Oh, okay, I love that. Now this one's interesting to me because I feel like it's very traditional. Like that is exactly what you would expect when someone's like, oh, show me the perfect Valentine's Day dress, right? And it's got like the bustier thing going on. So what do you think about like a silhouette like that?
Yeah, I think that clothes that hug the body, it can be quite comforting. It can almost be a way to celebrate your body and make it stand out. You're making it very clear, like through the outline, you're not hiding anything. I think that can be quite empowering for people. It's drawing attention to the curves and the shape of the body. And again, it's making the wearer kind of feel in charge. And I think that, again, when you have these emotions running through you, it comes out in the way that you act and the way you behave. So especially like in a Valentine's Day context, when you want to, put your best face forward, I guess, and you want to show up as the best version of yourself, where that celebrates your body and all the parts of it that you like is going to be like very beneficial.
I love that. I'm going to ask just one more other question about you specifically. So what do you like to wear on Valentine's Day? Do you remember a time, maybe it was a Valentine's Day, where like you put so much creativity and thought into your outfit and it was because you wanted to present something?
Yeah. Oh God, it's been a long time since I celebrated I'm a single girly. But from memory, I think I really put a lot of effort into my undergarments. I think that can be quite empowering, wearing something that is maybe at the time is like only you know about, and it's something that you wouldn't typically wear. So again, you're using clothes as almost as a tool of escapism, stepping out, celebrating a different part of your identity that might be a bit more seductive, maybe a bit more, like feminine, or be a bit more powerful as well. So I love that, like having like a specific type of lingerie that makes me feel like more of a woman, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's something that I always am mindful of when I used to celebrate Valentine's Day, and if in the future I do.
I love that. I actually have like, it's like this like little sheer thong and it says self-love and rainbow. And every time I put it on, I almost like, I will not put it on if I'm not feeling like self-loving, but I'll go and I'll reach for it when I'm like, you know what? I want to have a good, confident day. I like set my intention when I put on that thong.
Yeah, exactly.
So I get that.
Understand that.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that interview and I hope that you learned a few things about what different colors mean, just had some ideas. Maybe you don't want to dress in a Valentine's Day outfit, or you don't really want to think about what you're presenting to the world on Valentine's Day with your look. So instead, you decide to do it with your underwear. Who cares? And really, who cares what you do at the end of the day? Valentine's Day doesn't have to be this like romantic dinner. And obviously, Shakaila kind of like agrees with me there, right? Now, let's take a step back. Let's bring in the food. And then while I'm eating the food, and I'm sampling it, I'm going to also talk about something that my producer, Megan, who is also my sister-in-law, just my plain old sister. I just fucking love her. But she's my sister's fiance. But something that she did for herself, and she got the results around Valentine's Day, coincidentally. And I think it's a great Valentine's Day gift you can give it to yourself. And it has to do with colors that you wear, which is the whole theme of today's episode. So we're going to talk about that. First, I want to talk about Dream Vista. Okay, Dream Vista Café is this place in Jersey City. Now, I'm going to confirm how many it is, but my boyfriend Nick and I have this list, right? It's this list on Google Maps. I used to be a big Yelper. I actually was a Yelp elite until they kind of like, actually don't look at my Yelp reviews. Actually don't. I wouldn't if I were you. But I was a Yelp elite, and then I kind of stopped reviewing a lot during the pandemic, so they demoted me to a plain old Yelper, and I'm still fucking mad about it. But anyway, I was collecting like restaurants that I wanted to go to in Yelp, and my boyfriend Nick was like, oh, you are doing it wrong. He has so many lists. If you think, like, maybe I shouldn't... I think that me and him together are probably just like one big obsessive organized bunch. And basically we have lists now. I mean, I did kind of like hijack these lists, but fast casual food, good restaurants - friends. Sarah and Nick have gone. Good for going out at night, day drinking, brunch and lunch, casual drinking, casual places with friends, outside spots, don't go back. We have 7 places on the don't go back list. I won't tell you what they are. But regardless, on the number one list is want to go. And I just checked, and we have 395 places that we want to go. And now these aren't only places around our area. There are also places like we went on vacation to Croatia, for example. We're going to Greece. Wherever we do go, we add things to the list. So it's literally like places from all over the place. Like it's like all over the globe where our flags are. I have like places in, oh, this is cool. I kind of want to take a screenshot so you guys can see like all of the places that we want to go all over the world. But anyway, so Nick actually had put Dream Vista Café, it's a cafe in Jersey City, on the list. And I found it because I was just like, oh, where should I order from on Valentine's Day? Like what rhymes with day? You know, and I found it, and I noticed right away that Dream Vista Café has lattes where they do latte art, and Nick is also really big into wanting to be. He wears this like hat, this like cool like hat, and he creates lattes for us. For me, he has a espresso machine. He's really big into it, and he basically wants to create latte art, but he's not quite there yet. Sorry, Nick. Sorry to throw you under the bus in this episode, but I think I do that in every episode. Anyway, this place, they do latte art. So I just wanted to see, and I wanted to uncover on film to see whether or not the heart stayed when they made my latte. Yeah, it didn't stay. But it's a great oat milk latte. Oh yeah, that's a really good latte. I'm already really happy. That's a delicious latte, and it doesn't even have sweetener in it. And I honestly love oat milk so much that I don't think that I need sweetener. And yeah, so that is the reason why I chose this place. I thought, hey, it's romantic that my boyfriend put this on the list. No, we're not going together, but I'm going to incorporate it into my Valentine's Day episode, and I'm going to try the food. So I'm going to go get it, and we'll give it a review, okay? All right, so we're back. We have our Dream Vista Café food. I'm going to present it. Kit's going to be up here in a second. So what I got is food that I love. The first is an avocado toast. Oh, this looks good and has pumpkin seeds on it. Oh, fuck yeah. I love pumpkin seeds. Don't look at it like that. No. Great feta. Great pumpkin seed. Great avocado. See, first I try all the ingredients separately, and then I try them together. Don't at me. Okay. And I got an almond croissant. I really wanted to get baklava, but they ran out. Hence why they were calling me this morning when I was on the Peloton. Sit down. So I'm going to give it a try. Now, I happen to love avocado toast. So I said, what's a love letter to myself? Avocado toast. So I'm going to try their avocado toast as I get my oat milk latte all over my sheer text tights. I can already tell you that I loved the ingredients separately, so I'm thinking, I wonder if I should cut this. Wow, the set designer knew to put a knife. Who did that? Your set designer is so smart, girls. It's your mom. It's your mama. No. 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 Kit loves avocado. Loves avocado. Loves, loves, loves. Like, you have no idea. All right, let's try it all together. So I will say, this was delivered approximately like 30 minutes ago, I would say. And I was expecting like the avocado to start browning. I didn't think it would be, I thought maybe it'd be mushy. But whatever bread they use, it looks like a sourdough. It really held it up. And while the avocado kind of melted into the bread a little bit, it really didn't ruin it. And I think they might have used lime on this avocado or lemon because I taste a slight hint of it just to make sure that the avocado didn't brown, which is so smart. Okay, I love it. I really do. Now we're going to try the almond croissant, which I think I'm going to like even more because it just looks really, really good and sweet. I feel like I'm in Paris. Why? Literally nothing about me says Paris. You couldn't see mommy with a baguette? I could be in Paris. That's a good croissant. Oh, man. Oh, man. All right. This place is not going on the do not go back list. That is for sure. Nick is missing out right now. That is friggin' delicious. There's a little bit of like a hint of cinnamon in this. And you would think that you would only be able to taste the almonds on top, like the slight slivers. But no, it tastes like almond throughout. So yes, we might have had a snafu or two this morning with the delivery. Please don't wear the bag again. But this totally proves it is worth the wait. It is worth 3 canceled orders. It is worth you're stopping your ride on Peloton to get a little frustrated. It's worth spilling your oat milk lattes on your sheer text tights. It's worth it all. It's worth it all. So, okay, let me talk a little bit about what Megan, my producer, did for herself, which I think is a great Valentine's Day gift. She found this site called Colored Confidence. And what she did is she sent in a bunch of photos of herself. I'm actually going to pull it up right now. To this woman named Kadri, who I hope I pronounced that right, Kadri. But she runs, of course, like this website called Colored Confidence. And what she sets out to do is show people exactly what colors really highlight their features the best way and flatter themselves. And it just makes people feel like they are being the best version of themselves when they're putting on their outfits and presenting them to the world. So let's say you do want to wear an outfit on Valentine's Day that like, you know, really flatters you, but also judging from what Shakaila said, like shows something that you're trying to put out to the world. Well, then you could work with Kadri on Colored Confidence and figure it out. So Megan ultimately was told that she's a true spring and her color palette Kit, not again. She got stuck in the bag. All right, relax. Mommy's gonna get you out. Ow. Okay, relax. No, you're going the wrong way. Okay, come here. Oh, we did it. We got her out. Okay. You're going the wrong way. There's a sliver of almond in the bag. I'm gonna eat it. Okay, so that gave me so much more power to finish this episode. Wow. All right, so Megan was told that she's true spring, and she was a little surprised by her results. But basically the results give you a really good understanding of what colors are light versus deep, cool versus warm. And they put a plain, like clean image of your face up against all these colors so that you can see what they look like. And if you go to the brand's, the company's Instagram page, you can literally see how when the person who submitted to Colored Confidence gets their results and they do start to take the advice and wear the color that they're recommended, how their face just brightens up. So she really does put a lot of effort into analyzing why these colors are right for each person who comes her way. They also give you a list of like, so these are your best colors, and they're like more vibrant colors, but then they also give you your best neutrals, because you can't always wear a vibrant outfit, or let's say you do want to dress in neutrals. Here are the best neutrals for you. So Megan got like white, a really pretty peach, this like kind of tan color, a lighter brown, a navy, and more of like a charcoal than like a black. They also give you your worst colors, which is important because we know what we want to stay away from. And one of those for Megan was hot pink, and I got her this bright hot pink suit, and she wore it. And I'm like, well, fuck me, right? Didn't mean to give you a bad color. They also tell you your makeup. So I'm not big into makeup. I can't give a lot of advice on beauty because I feel like I'm just not good at it, but they tell you what colors to use. And for Megan, one of those colors that she actually uses a lot is greens. And whenever she's wearing green eyeshadow, I just think that she looks so pretty. And then they give you like a flow chart, and they basically ask you, okay, so when you're wearing these colors that we recommend to you, how does it make you feel? And it asks you to like look within and kind of explore how you feel. For someone who doesn't like to meditate maybe, or doesn't really like to like, you know, connect with their deeper feelings and thoughts, this could be a good experiment and a good activity to just do with yourself. So that's just my advice for something that you could do for yourself from a fashion perspective on Valentine's Day if you want to do something romantic and get yourself a little romantic gift. I didn't want to give or recommend outfits to wear on Valentine's Day or Valentine's Day festive outfits. One, because we already did that for the holidays. And two, because I truly believe that Valentine's Day shouldn't feel like this, like something that's like weighing on your chest, or that feels just so overly hallmarky that like you feel like you need to produce on Valentine's Day, or you feel like you need to set a standard for yourself and achieve something, or, you know, be romantic when you don't have a partner, whether you want to or not. It's just, there shouldn't be so much pressure on Valentine's Day. Think about me eating this croissant and me eating this avocado toast, and remember how messy it was, and just do that on Valentine's Day. Just do that. Think about Kit getting her neck caught in the bag. Think about like all the crazy chaos that is my life, which you can see just from me sitting on my own couch, which is probably scary. And just relax. Don't worry about having such a great Valentine's Day. Or, you know, just be you, dress for yourself. And yeah, we'll see you back here next time. I will have a fashion week post video. It's not a post video, Sarah. I will have a fashion week video. You will get to see what looks I'm wearing for fashion week. I have to think of that. Haven't even taken a breath to think of that yet, but we will do that. I have some really exciting special guests coming on in the future for my moving in with my boyfriend. And what else can I tease since you're also curious? I can tease me finishing this food. So I'm going to go do that. Bye.